It's a very sultry afternoon here at Headingley to greet the dawn of a new season this August Bank Holiday Sunday. Going to be very hard work indeed for the players, but my word, what a tidbit to put before the spectators. Leeds against Bradford Northern, always one of the highlights of the season, and indeed it seems to occur and reoccur throughout the season as these two very well matched sides meet once again in this first round of the John Smith's Yorkshire Cup. Let's take a look at the Leeds lineup that has 4 men on debut and of course includes the ex-All Black fullback John Gallagher. He's at number 1. The three-quarters, John Bentley, Simon Irving, another man on debut, Carl Gibson and Phil Ford. The skipper, Gary Schofield, is paired at half-back with Paul Harkin, signed of course from Bradford Northern, a good little grafter and a great little schemer. In the front row, Neil James is now a permanent fixture at Headingley. He wears number 8. Colin Maskill is at 9, Paul Dixon at 10, Roy Powell and Cavill Hugh are in the second row, David Heron is the loose forward, and David Ward selects David Creaser and the Kiwi Mike Kuwaiti to be his 2 substitutes. Bradford Northern have had to reshuffle a little. Fullback Ian Wilkinson has strained ankle ligaments in the preliminary round John Smith's Cup tie win against Sheffield Eagles last week, and he's replaced at fullback by Roger Simpson. The three-quarters, the free-scoring Gerald Caudle, Steve McGowan at 3, Darryl Shelford at 4, David Cooper at 5, Tony Marchant switches to stand-off half to partner the ex-Leeds player Mark Wilson. David Hobbs is in the front row alongside Brian Noble and John Hamer. Paul Medley and Carl Fairbank are at 11 and 12, John Pendlebury in the second row, and Henderson Gill and Craig Richards, the men on the bench. So we're all set to go, and it's certain to be 80 minutes of absolutely first-class action. The pitch just like a carpet. Gary Schofield, the lead skipper, will be the first player to put a boot on the ball. And that first whistle from Paul Crashley, and we're underway. First touch there for ex-Leeds favourite Paul Medley. I think both sides will fully appreciate that they're going to have a lot of tackling to do today, and Leeds of course will be hoping that Northern have the majority of it to do. The first offside decision of the new season here at Headingley, and the free kick goes to Northern. McGowan feeds the ball out nicely, and the tackle on Shelford is effected very quickly indeed by Simon Irving. Northern still inside their own half of the field. Hobbs will kick. The first touch for Gallagher. Listen to the roar. A lot of this crowd have come to see how Gallagher performs. He's had a couple of outings so far in pre-season friendlies, but this is for real. Northern, of course, lacking 2 of last season's stalwarts in Kelvin Skerritt, who's moved to Wigan, and Paul Harkin, who's come the short journey here to Leeds. Roger Simpson. Normally operates at half-back Simpson. One of the successful touring party to New Zealand during the summer. David Hobbs turns the ball back neatly inside. Mark Wilson bringing Marchant nicely onto the pass, and Marchant runs straight into David Heron and then runs into more trouble, still 10 yards inside his own half. Pendlebury this time, and this time he'll find touch. A good kick from a useful player. The crowd built nicely here at Headingley. Predictions were that it would reach 20,000. It certainly looks to be over the 15,000 mark at the moment. Harkin, Ford. Ford already showing pace. Wriggling away, Ford. Still going, Phil Ford. A nice run from the winger. He had little room to work in, and he gets himself a penalty as well. Gallagher to find touch on that far side, and he does so effectively. I think certainly all the Leeds fans here at Headingley will be waiting for the moment when Gallagher joins the line and gets a tilt at the Bradford Northern defence. Paul Harkin, that pass just a little bit behind Cavill-Hugh. The ball's gone to ground and Northern win back possession. Brian Noble moves to acting halfback, a familiar position for him. Pendlebury looks for the break and it's not there. Hobbs with the kick. It's right down the throat of Bentley, although he had to reach for the ball. Gallagher. Chance for him to run. Good acceleration. And good tackling too. Brian Noble was right round the ankles. Bentley, rather unfortunate there, just lost his feet as he came inside. Roy Powell. Harkin to kick, as he's done so many times here at Headingley as a Bradford Northern player, and before that as a Hull Kingston Rovers player, and he does exactly what he's good at, finds touch, takes play up to within 10-15 yards of the Bradford Northern line. Mark Wilson puts the ball in and Mark Wilson gets the ball out. Marchant. Northern open to play out nicely. Shelford to Simpson. Simpson carving a gap through the middle, and good Leeds cover. But play moved to within 10 yards of the halfway line. Pendlebury, McGowan. And again the Leeds tackling is good. Pendlebury, a nice little dummy and a shuffle, but not bought by the Leeds defence. Good work again, this time by Gallagher, aided by Carl Gibson. It's a chase for Bentley. Bentley runs away from Marchant. Nice ball to Gallagher. Well, he was looking for a man outside. Phil Ford had moved inside, and Gallagher wisely electing to hold on. Well, he's certainly seen plenty of the action in the first 5 or 6 minutes, John Gallagher. And there's a strong likelihood he'll see plenty more. This time Harkin's kick is fielded easily by Simpson, and Northern are back in possession. Well, 3 Leeds men all tackling each other there, and Simpson slipped away. David Hobbs, nice switch of direction. Tony Marchant, the ex-Castleford and Great Britain centre. A new role for him at standoff half. Pendlebury brings Medley onto that pass beautifully, and that was good work by Schofield. Caudle hasn't seen much of the ball so far, Gerald Caudle, but he only needs a half side to the line and he's away. Nice kick from Hobbs. Seven minutes gone, no points on the board. Schofield. Well, looked for the gap, and he was well spotted by Carl Fairbank. Powell. Another one of Malcolm Reilly's successful summer tourists to New Zealand. There are several on view today. Harkin. Colin Maskill. There was a half break there from Maskill till Marchant nabbed him. Schofield puts the ball to ground. I think he was looking to distribute very quickly there, the lead skipper, and trying to play the ball on before he'd actually received it. Mark Wilson to Pendlebury, a nice switch. McGowan looks for the gap on the far side, and Gibson has to be alert. Mark Wilson. Nice ball to Medley, and Medley's got the pace, and Medley's got the try. First points are on the board. And needless to say, as a former Leeds player, Paul Medley is absolutely delighted to get that first try of the afternoon. There were always going to be problems from Leeds as Northern came away with that ball, and once the short pass was slipped to Medley, for a man of his pace and strength from 10 yards out, it was a fairly simple effort for him to score the try. So Northern have drawn first blood, 4 points to 0. David Cooper will attempt to make the try worth 6 points, the ex-Bramley Rugby Union man. Very steady kicker he is too. Six points to 0. Ten minutes gone and not the start that Leeds would have wanted. The referee says that was a knock-on. John Pendlebury might have disagreed, decided not to bother. So the scrum will go down 10 yards out from the Northern line. Good opportunity this for Leeds, but that big Northern pack has wheeled and Northern have come away with the ball. Now we'll have to count that as one against the head. Marchant. Driven backwards. Good tackling by Gary Schofield. Caudle infield, looking for work and finding it. McGowan. Good work by Simon Irving. And good work again by Irving. Well, a little unorthodox, but well within the rules by John Pendlebury. Looked just for a moment as though he may have taken a knock, Pendlebury, but fit to carry on. This time Leeds will have the penalty. Mark Wilson was round far too quickly on Paul Harkin. Harkin's got the runner. Dixon through the half gap. This time it's Neil James. Again, Leeds go on the open side. Harkin. Again, the pass goes astray. And again, Bradford Northern are back in possession. Fairbank looks desperately round for support, with Schofield hanging onto his ankle. Nice change of direction by Mark Wilson. McGowan. John Hamer looked to turn that ball back inside, and he was well held by Roy Powell. Well, Northern certainly prepared to sling the ball about in the opening stages. They spent much of the game in their own half of the field so far, but they lead by 6 points to 0. The last tackle. Here comes the kick. Bentley slips the first man, sides through the second two, round the third man. Bentley has to turn back inside. Good play by John Bentley nonetheless. And Simon Irving loses out, but Shelford must have knocked on. Referee Paul Crashley says that's exactly what he did. And the scrum will go down. This time it's a clean heel for Leeds. Irving through the gap. He's got Gibson outside him. He's got Gallagher inside him, and Gallagher's seen the gap, and that wasn't the best way to go from Irving. He had two men away to his left. Gibson was the nearest. Ford was outside him, and he turned it back inside for Gallagher, and the move was dead. And that the first time Leeds have really threatened. Irving made the break, and when he had to make the decision, he turned the ball inside, and it went to ground. Headingley got a smart new look about it this season. You'll see on that far side the new seating in the paddock area in front of the north stand. The first move towards an all-seater stadium here at Headingley, in line with the Taylor report. Mark Wilson. Little switch back inside. Fairbank. Well, couldn't get the ball away. Well wrapped up. Schofield was upstairs, Powell was downstairs, and Dixon was standing by. Lovely ball from Hobbs, puts McGowan through the gap. McGowan going for the corner, and a good tackle by John Gallagher. He had to make that one. That was his first real test, Gallagher. Certainly couldn't blame him for missing Medley early on. There was no room for him to work on that occasion, but this time when Gallagher did have the room, across he went, and in came the tackle. And even without Kelvin Skerritt, still plenty of meat in that Northern pack. They're prepared to push and heave, and this time they've got themselves a penalty. Collapsing the scrum, according to referee Paul Crashley, who's much nearer the play than I am. David Hobbs, John Pendlebury, Carl Fairbank. This is a good attacking position for Bradford Northern. And my word, how they'd love to get some more points. Wilson, the short ball, it's dropped, put to ground by Hamer. Harkin looks around as if to say, was that a little bit of extra attention, Mr. Referee, sir? The referee said no, but in any event, towards Leeds the penalty for Northern encroaching at the play of the ball. Gallagher with the penalty. Heading straight for us, and eventually it touches David Cooper, which is a great benefit to Leeds because it means when the scrum goes down they'll have the head and the ball. Cooper doing his level best to keep it in play, but perhaps not the best decision on reflection. Schofield cuts out Gallagher. Irving. Was there a crossing there? There was indeed, and Northern will have the penalty. It looks like David Cooper is going to try to add 2 more points to this Bradford Northern lead. He is indeed. We've had something like 17, 18 minutes of this first half, and in truth, Leeds have yet to settle. Cooper from a little over 40 yards, dead straight. Certainly got the length, but pulls it wide of that left upright. So the scoreline remains Leeds 0, Bradford Northern 6. Roger Simpson fields. Good little utility man, Simpson. That was no doubt one of the things in Malcolm Reilly's mind when he took him down to New Zealand as part of the touring party. Wilson. He'll be hoping for an injury-free run this season. Mark Wilson suffered more than most in the early stages of his career, certainly as a player here at Headingley, from injuries. It'll be fingers crossed for him. Good work by Paul Dixon there to stop Medley. Hobbs again with the kick. This time he's given the ball plenty of air, and the two Welshmen are under it when it comes down. And although Ford collects, Caudle bundles him into touch. Well, that scrum wheeling all the way around. I think that Paul Crashley will send them to scrum again. Indeed, he says that's exactly what's going to happen. Out on the northern side. Once again, a good attacking position this for the visitors. McGowan and Marchant and Simpson. It was too clever, and Schofield put the ball to ground. And I thought the referee just might say play on there. There were two knock-ons. Let's see, he gives Leeds the head and the ball, so he penalises the second of the two. Play just inside the Leeds 25. And the penalty goes to Leeds this time. The foot was up. Very likely that of David Hobbs, the open side prop, who of course nowadays doubles as coach as well at Odsal. Maskill, Neil James. James, no progress for him. He was driven to the turf by Carl Fairbank before he'd even chanced to get into his stride. Good ball from Harkin. That's a great little ball from Paul Harkin. Cavill Hugh looking desperately around for support. Simon Irving. He'll need the legs to go this time, Will Irving. There's still a long way. Nice ball to Schofield. Plenty of support. Gibson. He's going to put Ford in at the corner, but he isn't, because the ball has gone to ground. And in the meantime, I think that Leeds are going to get themselves a penalty, because Paul Harkin, who released the ball, was flattened as he did so, and the linesman on that far side is telling Paul Crashley, the referee, exactly what happened. And Leeds may well find themselves in the position of getting a penalty. See what Mr. Crashley's got to say. Harkin back on his feet, making his way to rejoin the play. Both touch judges are over there with the referee. So there's a fair old officials' conference going on. And we'll see what happens when all this is over. Well, he's pulling someone out. Let's see who it is. Could well be John Pendlebury. David Hobbs is there in attendance as well. In fact, it's Carl Fairbank that he's having a word with. He's awarded Leeds the penalty. Or has he? Come on, Mr. Crashley, make a signal that we can follow. He has indeed given Leeds the penalty, which is about halfway between where Harkin was flattened and where play actually finished when his attention was drawn to the matter. Seems to be a little matter of a missing ball at the moment. Here it comes. Gary Schofield, meantime, receiving some attention. Just inside the northern half, and it looks like it's going to be Simon Irving with the kick this time. So Leeds, their first chance to register some points. 25 minutes have gone. They trail 6-0. Simon Irving with the chance to make it 6-2. And that's a nice kick from Irving, and it's good. And that'll be a relief for Leeds that they've got themselves some points on the board. Northern get the penalty. James the offender. Carl Fairbank was sinned against. And again David Hobbs is asking David Cooper, his young winger, to tack on the goal points. Henderson Gill is the man coming out with the sand. So Northern get an immediate chance to reply to that penalty from Simon Irving for Leeds. That looks very good indeed from Cooper. 8 points to 2 the scoreline. So Northern wasting no opportunity here this afternoon. Cooper has of course missed one straight penalty, but they've had very few chances. They've taken what they've had and they lead 8-2. Caudle running from deep, one of the players in the game who can go the length of the field. McGowan. Good work by Hugh. Stops him in his tracks. Fairbank battling away hard. Brian Noble, what a great servant Brian's been, not just to Bradford Northern but to the game. It's a good kick from Hobbs. Bentley Fields. Well, he elected to hold on there, perhaps wisely. Simon Irving. Harkin working the line side this time. John Bentley. He's got the pace to get away. Has to step inside though, and Cooper finally nails him with assistance from Messrs Hobbs and Noble. Neil James. Ooh. And that was a blockbuster from Paul Medley, but James stepped out of it. Schofield got that ball away very quickly, but Pendlebury was onto Heron in a flash. Harkin. get the impression Harkin was suggesting there that the ball had hit a Northern player as he kicked it, and he got the decision too, because Leeds will have the head and the ball. Leeds could very much do with a try before half-time. They've got about 12 minutes to get one. Gallagher into the line. Schofield. Oh, and there's been some juggling this afternoon. And has Shelford nicked the ball? Schofield thinks not. And neither does the referee. Powell. Through the first tackle, but not the second. The crowd beginning to get behind the Leeds team now. They can sense that Leeds need a try before half-time. And again the ball goes to ground. Well, Leeds at times looking to be about half a move in front of themselves. They desperately need to settle to get the ball held very cleanly before they attempt to distribute. It's an untidy looking scrum, and Leeds get the penalty. Phil Ford. Dixon was held there just when he was looking for the gap. Harkin. Powell. Powell. No progress for him. Harkin again. Oh, plenty of men outside him. Here's Schofield. Schofield nabbed very quickly by Tony Marchant. Bentley. Heron again, the ball squeezes out. Gallagher's in the line. Something on here if Gibson can make the room. Gibson to Ford. Phil Ford dancing his way over in the corner, and Leeds have got their first try. And how important that one is. My word, it's important for Phil Ford. It's important for Leeds, and it's come at a very good time with round about 10 minutes to go to the interval. That was a lovely switch of direction by Leeds, and once they'd managed to thread the ball out, Gallagher came into the line. Once Ford was supporting Gibson, and once Gibson found the gap, there was always going to be points there for Leeds. And that's closed the gap. Leeds 6, Bradford Northern 8. Well, this is a real tester for Simon Irving. He's at the right side for a right-footed kicker, very much an instep man. 2 points would level up the tie. If they like it, they don't. Neither do the touch judges. So 8 points to 6, the scoreline stays. Encounters between these clubs always very, very close, always hard fought. And this one, no exception so far. Mark Wilson to restart for Northern. Oh, and I think Irving felt that tackle from Carl Fairbank. And this time the ball goes to ground again. The culprit, David Heron. And I suspect that David Ward will be desperate for that half-time hooter so he can get the lads in the dressing room and have a very stiff word with them indeed about the clumsy handling so far. Marchant. Leeds, by the way, warming up Mike Coiti on the far side. John Hamer. That was a good tackle by Cavill-Hugh. But Northern in full cry. Fairbank. Fairbank, is his strength going to get him there? My word, he's held up in the tackle, or is he? He's over on his back with the ball on his chest. And it was sheer weight of numbers there that stopped Carl Fairbank. Good team defensive work by Leeds, and they needed to. Coiti joins the fray. David Heron leaves it. Should slot straight into the loose forward berth, and indeed he does. Just back from New Zealand this week, and Northern have a penalty. The differential penalty to Bradford Northern. Again, a very good attacking position for them. John Hamer. Hobbs about to lend his support. Here's the big fella. And again, Leeds having to do some tackling right on their own line. Wilson puts the ball down. Well, Harkin didn't get that ball away. He was buried by Mark Wilson, and the penalty has been awarded, and there's one or two disagreements. There's a Northern man flat out on the turf. Looks like John Hamer. The referee says stop the clock, and let's see what the touch judge says to the referee. The touch judges have played an important part in this game so far. John Hamer certainly caught something in that scrum. Ronnie Barrett very quickly across to deal with him. See what Mr. Crashley does. Says there was a punch, and he gives Northern the penalty without singling out a Leeds player. Well, so the advantage switches. Leeds, who had been awarded the penalty, now find themselves on the wrong end. And about 4 minutes to go to the break. But there has been some stoppage time. And Northern just got their noses in front at 8 points to 6. Pendlebury turns in the tackle. David Hobbs. Nice dummy from Hobbs, trying to bring Medley onto the pass on the burst. But again, the Leeds line holding firm. Hobbs with the drop. Doesn't make it. Gets it back again. And this will be a relieving penalty for Leeds. They've been under some pressure here. John Bentley. Dixon on the burst, and that tackle from Fairbank looked as if it was starting a little bit high, but it finished just about legitimate. Harkin again with the kick. He'll send Northern all the way back. I don't think he's going to find touch on this occasion. Simpson. And good work from Simon Irving, up very quickly on the Bradford Northern fullback. Shelford. Haven't seen too much of Daryl Shelford so far this afternoon. Shelford, one of two Kiwis signed by Northern during the summer. The other one, Brett Itai, is not on duty today. And that's a great kick. Finds touch 10 yards inside the Leeds half of the field. Harkin looking desperately to wriggle through the gap, and Pendlebury ensuring that he doesn't. Schofield. And again Leeds put the ball to ground. It's been an irritating habit in this first half, and the players will be feeling it just as much as anybody else. Kuwaiti round two quickly. Penalty to Northern. Cal Fairbank. Fairbank wriggling his way through. Very strong player, Fairbank. One of the five sons, of course, of the legendary Jack. A great favourite here at Headingley in the late 50s and 60s. And Medley doing his best to wriggle free on that far side. And Leeds get the penalty, not Bradford Northern. We're now into time added in for stoppages in this first half, and still Northern have that very narrow lead. Paul Harkin, Leeds' last chance to get some points before the interval. Kuwaiti, and that was good tackling by Pendlebury. And again Leeds bring a roar of irritation from the crowd by putting the ball to ground. Referee Crashley unhappy about the scrum there and gives Northern the penalty. It's a good kick from David Hobbs. It's taken play from a very narrow angle right down into the Leeds 25. Fairbank. Northern got a very good line strung out, but still keeping the ball among the forwards. That's the half-time hooter, and what a frustrating first half it's been for Leeds and their fans. They've had plenty of possession, they've put an awful lot of ball to ground, they find themselves behind after just 10 minutes to a try, scored by Paul Medley. Cooper added the goal, and it took Leeds 25 minutes to get any points on the board. Simon Irvine kicked a penalty, David Cooper kicked a penalty for Northern to make it 8 points to 2, before Phil Ford scored Leeds' first competitive try of the new season. So, a frustrating first 40 minutes. David Ward will have plenty of work to do during the interval, but this cup tie still very much alive. The half-time score, Leeds 6, Bradford Northern 8. So the second 40 minutes about to get underway. I can tell you that Bradford Northern have made a substitution during the interval. Craig Richards has joined the fray, and it looks very much to me as though the man who's gone off is the blindside prop, John Hamer. Took a knock in the first half, Hamer, and stays behind in the dressing room. I certainly would have liked to have been a fly on the wall during the interval in the Leeds dressing room to hear what coach David Ward had to say to the players, and let's hope that it's reflected in their play in this second half. Simpson, well, worked his way past Neil James but not past Gary Schofield. Here's Richards, big strong lad. McGowan, well nabbed by Cavill-Hugh. Well, Pendlebury just about held on to that one and hasn't found touch with his kick. Gallagher. Gallagher very soundly dumped, and Bradford Northern giving John Gallagher a very healthy introduction indeed to rugby league football, and Gallagher earns Leeds the penalty. Paul Harkin, Gary Schofield. Schofield, the gap's there and Schofield's found it. Still going. He had Kuwaiti on his shoulder but not quite there. He couldn't quite get the pass in. There was a Northern man between the two of them. David Creaser is on for Leeds, and Creaser, first touch for him on that far side. Looks like Simon Irving, the man who's gone off. Cavill-Hugh, Colin Maskill, was that ball forward? Indeed it was. What a shame, because that the first time Leeds had seriously looked like opening Northern. Well, I mentioned Mark Wilson of Northern earlier, looking for an injury-free season, and certainly that applies to David Creaser. He's had more than his fair share of injuries during his career at Headingley. Well, Marchant losing the ball. Scrum will go down. Leeds will have the head and the ball. Creaser, Schofield, Gallagher does well. Gibson accelerates, and Gibson is nabbed by Shelford, and that was good play by Leeds. Creaser was in that line. He's got a very quick pair of hands, and Leeds moved that ball at high speed. Kuwaiti. Schofield, and again the ball goes to ground. This time it was knocked from Schofield's grasp, and have Leeds tackled that Northern man inside his own in-goal area? Indeed they have, and the scrum will go down at 10 yards. The losers today will of course have a blank week next week, as it's the second round of this John Smith-Bitter Yorkshire Cup. Pendlebury makes valuable yardage for Northern. Hobbs trying to get on his right foot to kick, instead finds the space to run and makes it to within 10 yards of that halfway line. McGowan this time. John Bentley. Gallagher got Ford outside him. Accelerates beautifully through the gap. Gallagher still going. John Gallagher. gives the ball away to Dixon, and Dixon still going, and Dixon running into trouble. The ball's gone to ground. Play on, says the referee. Harkin picks it up. There's something on here. Lovely run by Harkin. Phil Ford just running out of ground at the valuable time there. Didn't have the space, but Leeds keep it going. Kuwaiti back inside to Ford. It's his second try of the afternoon, and this one will definitely be worth 6 points. 10 out of 10 to Leeds there for keeping that ball moving. The move began a long way back with John Bentley. He brought Gallagher into the line. Gallagher made a super burst through the middle, got the ball away to Dixon. It looked as though the move had died. The ball went to ground. Paul Harkin picked it up, and Harkin it was who carved out the opening on this near side. And the ball eventually fed via Kuwaiti to Ford, and Ford it was, crashing over right under the sticks, and Leeds for the first time in the match have hit the front. Colin Maskill. So Maskill registers his first points of the season, and one wonders why. With his kicking record last season, he wasn't the man entrusted with the job in the first half. I'm sure there was a good reason for that. However, Maskill's personal points tally is underway, but more importantly, Leeds have forged themselves in front by 12 points to 8. What a wonderful flowing move that was. David Creaser. Paul Harkin. Is that too long? Yes, I'm afraid it is. The ball bouncing just a little bit long, so they'll have to come all the way back for the scrum. What a very important part Paul Harkin played in that Leeds try. Gallagher certainly opened up the defence with his run from his own 25 over halfway. But when Harkin came into the move, Leeds were on the score sheet. Henderson Gill waiting to come on the far side of the field, replacing David Cooper. So both sides have now got both substitutes on the field. Tony Marchant, and that's a bad ball, and Shelford can't hold it. And it looks like the referee has penalised Gibson for knocking on as well. Well, has he in fact given the first knock on, because he's given Leeds the head and the ball. Gibson. Well, that really was a no-man's land ball from Paul Harkin, halfway between Roy Powell and Gary Schofield. I think Schofield probably saw it rather late, and Northern are back in possession. Richards. Oh, the break is on from Fairbank. He's looking for support. Didn't find Tony Marchant. Did find Cavill Hugh. Leeds back in possession. Gallagher, chance to run. Solid work there from Pendlebury and from David Hobbs in particular. Didn't play the ball cleanly, Gallagher. Taking a knock in the mouth as well. And Maskill catching John Pendlebury as he went through. It certainly didn't look as though Maskill had done anything more than tap him on the forehead. But the referee, I think, will have little choice but to take a dim view of that. Again, the referee calling in his linesman. I would have thought that, in fact, on this occasion, he was nearer to the play than the touch judge. Well, he's decided that the award of a penalty will be sufficient. And in truth, the Northern lads were not totally incensed by that. I think it was just a little unfortunate. So the chance for Bradford Northern to get back 2 more valuable points. Could well be Hobbs himself to kick this one. Plenty of experience with the boot, Hobbs. I want to remember him here at Headingley in a floodlit match, kicking all the points for Great Britain in a win over France. And now he has the opportunity to make the scoreline Leeds 12, Bradford Northern 10. Just pulled it wide of the upright. It's a bad miss really from David Hobbs, because Northern could well have done with the 2 points there. Caudle collects. And that's good work by Roy Powell, right round the ankles. Medley. Fairbank came beautifully onto that little ball from Pendlebury. Northern will have the penalty. Kuwaiti penalised. Marchant keeps things moving, takes it quickly. Craig Richards. Pendlebury still going, battling his way on Pendlebury. Dixon and James having to combine to stop him. Brian Noble. This is the nearest Northern have been in this second half. They'll want to come away with something. Has Pendlebury forced his way over? No, he's held up. And is the try awarded? I do believe that referee Crashley has awarded the no. Play on, he says. Richards, the big fella, and he's dropped the ball. Didn't ground it. Sign of inexperience there. And good tackling work by Neil James. James was in low, James was in hard, and Richards couldn't ground the ball. Leeds can breathe again. Northern are offside. Bentley. And he was met by very solid resistance there from young Craig Richards. He'll be feeling extremely annoyed with himself that he didn't ground that ball for a try that would have levelled matters and given Northern the chance to get back in front. Powell can't find the gap. Harkin and Schofield combining. Schofield still going. Schofield ducks under the challenge. He's made a try for Maskill, and Maskill is held up a yard short of the line. What a marvellous tackle that was. A great tackle by Paul Medley. I think we were looking to count 4 points there, and Leeds have got the penalty. Schofield takes it quickly, and Schofield's in for the try. What a marvellous piece of opportunism from Gary Schofield. Bradford Northern were still standing around, looking as though they might be prepared to argue, when Schofield was in for his first try of the season. The move came from well back inside the Bradford Northern half. Schofield taking the short pass from Paul Harkin, ducked under the challenge, looked as though he'd put Colin Maskill in, Maskill just short of a little bit of pace over that final 5 yards, and he was beautifully tackled by Medley. But when the ball came up, the penalty was awarded, and Schofield was absolutely wide awake. Colin Maskill then, looking to put a little bit of daylight between the teams. And he's missed it. Well, he kicked 100 goals last season. And he misses a fairly simple affair there from an angled 15 yards. 16 points to 8. Still Northern have to score twice, but still Leeds won't feel safe. Play on, says the referee. I think Harkin got to first touch on that, and the ball went backwards. Howell ducks under the challenge from Hobbs, and probably just as well that he did. Cabell-Hugh. Schofield, a lovely little ball to Dixon, who immediately drops the pass. And Northern back in possession. Shelford, the one-handed pass to Henderson-Gill, and Leeds are back in possession. Dixon. Well, he disposed of the challenger, Brian Noble. He was looking round for support. Neil James. Again, the ball goes to ground. Caudle, the ball bouncing off Caudle after Gallagher had played it forward. The scrum will go down, and Northern will have the head in the ball. As we move up towards the 1 hour mark, I suspect the players may well be feeling the heat, although there is now a cooling breeze arriving, and that'll be most welcome for the lads. Powell looks for the break. Powell battling his way clear. Mike Kuiti. Kuiti shakes off the first challenge, but not the second. There's a lot more determination in this Leeds team in this second half. Lovely play by Harkin. Brought Powell on beautifully, but Gill was very quickly onto John Gallagher. And Gallagher concedes the penalty. Another lesson learned for the young man. Gill was prepared to rough him up a little in the tackle. Gallagher didn't like his attentions and responded immediately. And Leeds have surrendered possession and position. Medley. This is the sort of distance that he's deadly from, and he's still going. The ball's loose, and the referee says we'll have a scrum. Medley looks as though he's taken a knock. Referee Paul Crashlis had a fairly busy afternoon, the Wakefield man. This time both physios, it looks like it's a sprint between the two, and the experienced Ronnie Barrett knows just when to step on the gas, and in fact can keep going, as both men can. Ball out on the Leeds side. Kuwaiti, lovely ball to Gallagher, who was crash tackled. Fairbank the chance, and Pendlebury it was that time who crash tackled Gallagher. And there's no doubt the Leeds fullback is getting a little bit of extra attention, but there's equally no doubt that at every opportunity he's looking for work. The scrum wheeling, the scrum collapsing, the scrum will have to go down again. And Leeds have taken that one against the head. Schofield, the ball spooked from his grasp, and Gallagher was brave. And that was a good save by the new Leeds fullback, Cavill-Hugh. The last tackle. And Bradford have been awarded the penalty. The ball not played correctly. And David Hobbs will elect to reduce the arrears, because if Hobbs were to kick this one and Leeds were not to add to their scoreline, a try and a goal would put the teams level once again. And David Hobbs, a very good tactician, he'll be well aware of that situation. Familiar sight of the sand being brought to the middle. I know the clock gets stopped, but it does tend to delay the game nonetheless. In the old days, the kicker would have put the ball down and it would have been on its way by now. David Hobbs, from just inside the 25. And he's kicked this one. There's no danger that one's in. 16 points to 10. And just a try and a goal between the sides. So we're all set for a grandstand finish. There's around about 20 minutes to go in the match, so still plenty of time left for either side to establish authority. McGowan. Very long-legged centre, McGowan, and all the more to grab him by, says Mike Kuwaiti, and brings him down. The break from Noble. The kick from Hobbs. The take from Gallagher. And again Medley nabs him. A lot of pace for a second row man, of course, Paul Medley. Howell ducks under the challenge and keeps going, and Richards has to tackle back. Otherwise he'd have left his scrum half, Mark Wilson, very exposed there. Dixon. An almost leaning forward style, Paul Dixon, as he runs. Neil James. Schofield, a little kick over the top, gathers the ball, and Marchant was hold of him, I suspect, before he'd actually gathered that ball. Schofield, the referee, decides to play on. It's the last tackle. Leeds are running it. Lovely little ball from Harkin inside to Cavill-Hugh, and he loses his feet, at the absolutely wrong moment, and how unfortunate that was, because that would have been a sparkling effort and Leeds would have got their full reward for running the ball. Henderson Gill, another man on this park who can go the length of the field, but not this time. Good tackle by Gibson. It's warming up now. Craig Richards. Well, he disposed of Harkin, then lost his legs, but McGowan has managed to get Medley away, and Ford's missed him, and Medley's going to score. Medley's going to score a try, his second of the match, and he's in. Well, that move came from right underneath the Bradford Northern sticks. When Cavill-Hugh lost his feet, Northern broke away. The ball was across the halfway line through Craig Richards, and when it was threaded out to Paul Medley, he slipped the challenge of Phil Ford and raced away to the line. And Medley, his second try of the afternoon, and of course against his former club. Phil Ford's done the same for Leeds against his former club. And when we take a look at the scoreboard, we see just 2 points between the teams. Well, this is where David Hobbs' experience will be needed, and this is where it could show, and this is where we could find ourselves all square once again. And that's a poor kick from David Hobbs. A very poor kick. He's missed 2 in this second half. David Cooper missed 1 in the first, and for that reason, Northern find themselves trailing by 16 points to 14. (18 minutes to go). As usual, these two teams really turning on a cracker of a cup tie. There's never much between them, but Leeds will certainly want to win this one. The John Smith's Yorkshire Cup, a very lucrative competition to win. Richards, one of the men instrumental in setting up the try for Paul Medley. Hobbs with the kick. It's a good one too. Finds touch on this near side and takes play down to within 10-15 yards of the Leeds line. Well, the scrum's wheeled, so Leeds should have the benefit of the head and the ball. They have, because Harkin's dropped on it. Mark Wilson's been never too far away from Harkin all afternoon. Kuwaiti. Schofield taken out by Fairbank. The Leeds skipper there already scored 1 try. And there goes Bentley, and he was a little unfortunate, John Bentley. We've seen these weaving runs of his in the past, and this time he's lost the ball. Northern back in possession, a good position for them too. Henderson Gill. There must be a little bit of juice in the surface, because 1 or 2 players have lost their feet. I walked on the pitch early, and it seemed pretty fair to me. McGowan. Roger Simpson. David Hobbs, the kick through. That's a good kick from Hobbs. Caudle has gathered, and Caudle has scored. Gerald Caudle's in at the corner. And that's just about the last thing that Leeds wanted at this stage of the game, for Bradford Northern to grab themselves another try. But Gerald Caudle has obliged, and Northern are back in front. Well, David Hobbs is a master tactical kicker, and when he put that little kick through, Paul Harkin was unable to gather. Gerald Caudle was, and Harkin, in truth, was well outweighed when it came to being in direct opposition to the Welshman, and Caudle slid over in the corner, and Northern are back in front in what is now turning into a very seesaw cup tie indeed. They lead 18 points to 16. Now this is a big kick for Hobbs. Northern, as I said earlier, have missed 3 vital kicks from good positions. Hobbs has missed 2 of them. And this is the one that counts, because there's just 2 points between the sides. And this time Hobbs pulls the ball across the face of the posts, and there's still 2 points between the sides, and we're all set for a real grandstand finish here at Headingley. Leeds 16, Bradford Northern 18. Each side has scored 10 points in this second half, and we've still got about 13 minutes to go. Northern now really slinging the ball across the line. Fairbank battling hard. McGowan clawed that ball down. Craig Richards bursting through the middle. Richards. Mark Wilson back inside, and Caudle bursts away from Paul Harkin, and Caudle making his way to the line, and thank goodness there for the pace of Phil Ford. Tony Marchant throws the dummy. Ryan Noble. And Leeds got their work cut out now. They'll certainly lose the cup tie if they lose another try here. This time it was Craig Richards putting the ball to ground under a very strong challenge from Roy Powell. And Leeds will have the head and the ball. Neil James, the man who's leaving the field for Leeds, and David Heron, who's coming back on. Heron, of course, started the game and was substituted in the first half. And is Heron going to move up into the front row? No, he's going in as last man. I think probably Cavill Hughes moved up there. In fact, it's Kuwaiti. But nevertheless, Leeds have come out with the ball. Gallagher, that was a dodgy pass, and that was an even more dodgy pass. And Roger Simpson picks it up, and Bradford Northern, are they in? They aren't. The referees disallowed it, much to the dismay of their fans, and that really would have been the settler for this match, and have to say it probably would have been Leeds' own fault. 2 very dodgy passes slung out there, the first by Gallagher, second by Schofield, and Leeds escaping. And Harkin this time electing to hold on, didn't want to give the ball to Gallagher, who was standing in his own in-goal area. Bentley, battling hard, John Bentley. Like many of those who have come from the game of rugby union, taking time to learn his trade in rugby league, Bentley, but emerged last season as a real prospect. David Heron. Maskill puts the ball to ground. Shelford, good tackling by Kuwaiti. In fact, it's Powell. David Hobbs. Both teams now desperate for a try. I think another try would win it for either side at this stage. Mark Wilson, Medley. Medley looked to go on the outside and was nabbed by Gibson. Caudle. Again, good work by Gibson. Hobbs looking for the drop, it's charged down. Northern will have 6 more tackles if Marchant can collect. Medley. Well picked up by Coiti, and Ford couldn't hold the little ball inside. And that's a great shame, because Ford has got the pace. McGowan was across. But we'll never know what the outcome of that would have been. McGowan for Northern. Shelford. Well, Northern are just where they want to be at this stage in the Leeds 25, in possession. And it looks like it might well have to be something spectacular as we move towards the last 5 minutes of the match if Leeds are to get back in there. Mark Wilson. And Wilson has gone all the way and scored the try, and that's the one that will settle it. And that just about completes a miserable afternoon for Leeds. Mark Wilson, a former Leeds player, scoring the try that will settle this first round John Smith's bitter Yorkshire Cup tie. That's a 4th try of the afternoon for Bradford Northern. Leeds have scored 3. And this will be the simplest kick of the day for David Hobbs. Well, the Leeds players standing disconsolately in their own in-goal area. And well they might. They've had a good share of this game. They've put a lot of ball down at vital times, and that's why they find themselves on the wrong end of the scoreline. 2 more points. The cheers from the Northern fans just about say it all, because Leeds, with about 3 minutes left, have now got to score twice if they're going to get back into this tie. Oh, and that was a nice pick-up there by Cavill-Hugh. Difficult one for him to take as the ball bounced back off the knee of McGowan. The penalty taken quickly. Leeds certainly haven't got time on their side. Powell. Schofield. Can we see a little bit of magic from the Great Britain player, the lead skipper? Not this time. Coiti. Bentley. Powell. And Powell really, when perhaps he should have been looking to unload, was really trying to make sure that he would keep hold of that ball. Harkin. Again, the ball goes to ground. It's been a familiar story this afternoon. This time that one bouncing off the chest of John Bentley. The ball is loose. There's a chance here for Leeds. Phil Ford. What can Ford do? A lovely dummy from Ford, but he just can't find the space. 6 more tackles. Harkin. David Heron. Schofield. Well, I think we've just about said it all. That was very difficult. It was right round the bootlaces of Mike Coiti. And once again, Northern are back in possession. Henderson Gill. Richards. The hooter due any time as Mark Wilson battles his way up to the halfway line. Again the tactical kick from Hobbs, and again the touch is found. David Hobbs, a player of vast experience. And again Northern find themselves just where they want to be, just short of the Leeds line. And they have of course got that vital 8-point lead. The scrum looking very untidy. I think referee Crashley will make them go down again. Well, they won't have to go down again, and Bradford Northern have once again proved that when it comes to beating Leeds in cup ties, there's nobody better at it than them. They've beaten Leeds this afternoon by 24 points to 16. I think we wondered when Kelvin Skerritt went to Wigan and when Paul Harkin came to Leeds, and with Ian Wilkinson injured, if that might upset the balance of the Northern side, and they've certainly proved any doubting Thomas is wrong. They led 8-6 at half-time, and then Leeds had their best spell when Phil Ford scored his second try. Maskill goaled it, Schofield nipped over for a cheeky try, and that was to be the end of the Leeds scoring as Northern roared back. Paul Medley, a second try for him, Gerald Caudle, and then the icing on the cake for Bradford Northern, Mark Wilson, a player who was released by Leeds, nipping over at the foot of the post. David Hobbs gold, and Bradford Northern, in front of a big Headingley crowd, have taken home the spoils in this first round Yorkshire Cup tie. They've beaten Leeds by 24 points to 16. David, a magnificent way to start the new season.
Yeah, it couldn't have gone better for us. We knew we were up against it coming to Leeds, but what it's done is give us a good platform for the rest of the season now.
You seem to cope very well without Paul Harkin, and particularly without Kelvin Skerritt.
Well, that's right. We've worked on new ideas for this coming season, whereas last year we relied heavily on Paul. When Paul played bad, the team generally played bad. So this year we've put a lot more onus on other people, and it's paid off.
The first half was going very much your way, and then Leeds pulled points back just before the interval with that Phil Ford try. Were there one or two collywobbles at that point? Well,
we went in at half-time and we still knew we were under control. We realised it was important to get off to a good start in the second half. Unfortunately, it was Leeds that turned the screws a bit, but our lads showed a lot of bottle, courage, and came back and did the job.
By the time Gary Schofield had caught you fast asleep, you'd gone 8 points behind. What were your thoughts then?
Well, my thoughts were to get the lads together and just pull everything I could out of them, and credit due to every lad that each one responded. This time last year we may have folded and Leeds might have run 20 points up, but we came back and showed some character.
Your back three played especially well.
We can't speak highly enough of them. I think Carl Fairbank, Paul Medley and John Pellery just knocked the stuffing out of their forwards early on. And
it was nice for Mark Wilson, a former Leeds player, to score what proved to be the winning try.
Well, Mark Wilson, safe as ours, as we'd know what he's about putting Mark in the 7th position, and I think he's proved today that he's going to be a good asset for the club now.
Can he win the Yorkshire Cup this season?
We'll see who's going to take it off us, John.
But I'm glad that I've got this one out of the way, because what's been happening throughout the summer, we've had a lot of publicity in new signings, etc. Not only John, he's only a part of the team. He is not the team, he's only a part of the team. There's people as Gary and there's all the other ones downstairs. And there's been a lot of hype, and we've had to put up with all this publicity. We all love it, but let's get it out of the way, and we've done it today. Unfortunately, we haven't got the results. Let's hope now the players downstairs in the dressing room, well, they all know now we've got a hell of a lot of hard work to be done, and it doesn't come easy to us, and nobody's going to give us anything. And what you saw today was you've got to have a lot of admiration for the elite players, in the sense that Bradford Northern were ruled, there wasn't given any hope today. And a rugby league man, in whichever jersey that he's playing, he's going to kick back really hard. And because they haven't got possibly the star quality in the the star player, the 5-star player, as these two guys are outside of me, in worldwide terms. Then Bradford and Northern players kick back, and they kick back hard because the pride were at stake. But you've got to live with that. I mean, the worst thing could have been done. You'd have seen the coach and the two players a press meeting like now. I'm not going. Don't feel like going. But we've got to do this. We all like being pat on the shoulder. We all like you guys talking to us when we've had a good win. Well, we've got to take a little bit of rough at the same time as well. This is why we're here.
Yeah, in response to that, thanks very much.
Well said, really.
Thank you.
We've got expectations, for the remainder of the season, and all I can see that we'll be taking it week by week, especially the league campaign, and also to now go forward to the remainder of the cup competition. But I'm sure David's going to make sure we get back on the rails with all professional players and see what we can get a win on the board when we play Oldham in our first league game, I believe, in September.